Going back to the original format for this checks and balances video. Hope you have your seatbelt on because you're probably going to need it. No hands on the wheel. Let's go. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. Every once in a while, I'll go on to the TikToks. And I have a profile on there. It's called Correct Sentence Structure, Communication, Parse, Syntax, Grammar, Cosmosity, or just Cosmosity. And I have a lot of content on there. I don't really do much with TikTok. I think I'm struggling to get to 2,000 followers on there. But if you notice, if you go onto my TikTok, I don't follow anybody myself on TikTok. Except for, I think, my private profile, Coral Blade Grotto, and then another one. So my For You section of TikTok is very interesting because a lot of religious live streams come up. And one caught my attention in particular, where this individual was saying the tagline to get people to engage with their live stream said something like, "Why haven't you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?" or something like that. And so I put into the comments, I said, I can sum it up in one word: logic. And then I heard the person who was having the discussion say, for someone to say that religion and Jesus is not logical doesn't have all the facts. And I'm thinking, so you're talking about Jesus and facts, huh? That's an interesting correlation. But anyways, as the thing went on, they start talking about evil. And it developed into an argument about evil. And they said that God cannot create evil. God creates agents who do evil or perform evil or can choose evil, but God himself cannot create evil and cannot lie. I'm thinking, hold on a minute now. How does that even make sense? So I put a comment in there and I said, so God does not create evil, but he creates agents who create evil. Gotcha. And as soon as I said that, they blocked me. Which happens more times than not. Because these folks, I think what it is, and this is just my guess, I just think they're young folks who are very passionate. They found something that vibes with them for some reason. The Jesus thing vibes with them, or the Muhammad thing vibes with them, or the Jewish thing. Oh God, did I say that? I said that word. Oh well, I'll let it in there. See what YouTube does. The only reason I don't want to say it is because I don't want my video to get limited or sanctioned in any way. However, I don't think that'll happen because I don't think I'm even a blip on the radar to these people. So, whatever. But it vibes with them. But they haven't thought it all the way through. They don't have closure, as one in my position might say. Because if you had closure, you wouldn't block anybody like that. Because I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being rude. I was bringing up a point. As a very good friend of mine would say, planting a seed. However, they just didn't want to hear it. So let's go into this evil thing. That's the whole reason I brought this up, is the topic of evil. What is evil to you? Like, what is your finite mean of evil? What does evil mean to you? What is your closure on it? How would you give a meaning to it? Or in the fiction, as you would say, define it. What definition would you give evil? For me, I like to take things in the context of the cosmos and nature. All right, because I don't subscribe to any religious, monotheistic God belief system. Because logically it doesn't work for me. It doesn't make sense. Because you have to participate in assumption, presumption, or as the religious folk would tell you, faith, which is not what faith is. Faith is not believing something sight unseen. That's not what faith is. Definitely not what it actually is, and it's definitely not what it is to me. Because faith is a word in my quantum grammar dictionary. But it doesn't mean believing based upon assumption, presumption. So, evil, when I look at the world of nature, when I look at the natural world, and by natural, I mean anything that is not anything that is not humankind, like not human created. Because I mean, I know, all right. I'm saying this for the reasons of discussing this, for knowledge cultivation purposes. I realize that humans are natural, and children are natural, and therefore what they create would also be considered natural, because everything is natural, right? Mankind is natural. Or is it? I don't know. Anyways, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about separating humankind, mankind. All right? You take us away, take us out of the equation of Earth, and you look at nature. There is no evil in nature. Can you show me evil in nature? Evil does not exist until mankind defines it as such, until mankind ascribes that value to a thing. Evil only exists in the minds of mankind. Now you may say, Jason, what are you trying to say here? Is there no evil? Well, that's not what I'm saying, not quite what I'm saying, because I myself, in the context of fiction, I do have an idea of what evil means for me. And for me, that basically means someone harming someone else on purpose for the pleasure of it. That's basically what it means to me. That's what evil is. When you're harming another being, another living, breathing creature, or hell, even forests, trees, whatever, you're harming that, and you're doing that out of sheer pleasure because you know you're harming it and you're causing pain and agony and fear and whatever. That's evil to me. You're evil if you do those things. That's what it means to me. I figured I better put that out there. But see, that's what it is to me. That doesn't exist. At least I don't think. I would guess it doesn't exist in the mind of a cat or a dog or a deer. Do deer think that hunters are evil? Do cows think that their butchers are evil? I mean, okay, does a chicken think a fox is evil when a fox is hunting it and killing it? I don't think so. I don't think so. It just is what it is. So that's why I say evil only exists in the minds of humankind. Mankind created it. And from my perception, it's much the same as the God concept. It only exists in the minds of mankind. Animals, nature, they don't have this concept. And if you take the colonists and the settlers out of the equation of North America for a minute, take those out, there was no Jesus or God in the biblical sense that existed in North America, nor did it exist in Europe before Europe was conquered by the Christians or whoever it was that the monotheists that conquered it. So these things only exist in the mind of man. Man creates these things. Man determines it. Now we can use other adjectives to describe these things. Instead of good and evil, let's talk about beneficial or harmful. What's beneficial for me may be harmful for you. What's harmful for you may be beneficial to me. It's the volition, I think, that gives meaning and weight as to what these things are and whether they can be classified as evil. If I'm doing something purposely to hurt you because I have no other reason to do it, it's not because you hurt me, it's not because you're hurting me, it's not because you have hurt me in the past, it's just because I just like to hurt things because that's how I get my jollies, then that's evil. That's evil. That is what psychology would label a psychopath. And no, a narcissist is not the same thing as a psychopath. Because narcissism is rampant. I don't think there's one person that I personally know. Well, okay, maybe there's one or two people that I personally know. But the majority of people I know do have narcissistic traits. And I am not excluding myself from that assessment by any stretch of the imagination. But that is not the same as psychopathy. All right, so I think we've talked enough about that. I think I've gotten my point across. And I also think that in terms of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, that's why you have to really think about the volition behind what you're doing. Are you doing something because you're correct? And what is it exactly that you are correct with? What makes you think? What is your idea of what correct is? For me, if I'm to be correct, it falls within the context of the balance of the honor and the grace, the position of peace and neutrality, the maintenance of Rule 1, Rule Equal. And also, if applicable, the principles and rules of correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. That's what it means for me to be correct. That's why you don't see me out here disqualifying people for no reason, other than the fact that they're not correct, they're wrong, they should be in jail. No. What I'm doing, when I do a reaction video or whether I do a grammar audit video, and I can include these names in those, the three main names would be Jason Paul Grievous, Mark Keyshawn Christopher, Mark lowercase k Keyshawn Christopher, and Russell J. Gould, and any subsidiaries thereof. I am looking at their grammar, and they're claiming something. They're claiming to be authorities of the grammar, all in their own respects, in their own way, in their own manner, claiming to be the stewards or the owners, the copyright copy claimants of this grammar, when they don't even know how to fucking use the grammar. Pardon my language. I said that for emphasis. And if you think that they do, see, that's the reaction I get from people, the knee-jerk reaction I'll get from cult followers of any of those three. Well, not so much Jason Paul Grievous. He doesn't really, nobody that follows him except for his mate, Jake Single, ever contacts me to defend him. But Russell J. Gould especially has a lot of cult followers, and they'll from time to time contact me and say, you know, this, that, or the third, but their main thing is that I'm not authorized to use any of this stuff for the flag because he hasn't given me his blessing. That's the first thing. And the second thing is they'll kind of say, well, so what if he's wrong? What he's trying to do is right. Really? So coming from a fella who used to be the protege of DAVID-WYNN Miller, David-Wynn Miller, the creator, not creator, I'd say the founder of quantum grammar. Interesting word, founder. But for my intents and purposes, that would be the correct word to use in this context. Where they're attacking the fiction system for using modification and not being correct with their syntax, for he himself to not be able to be correct with his syntax, and then you as a follower of his and supposedly someone who wants correctness to excuse his mistakes by saying, well, it doesn't matter if he makes mistakes, he's trying to help the people or whatever behind his big Patreon paywall or whatever it is. That makes absolutely zero sense, and that tells me that you didn't receive your fair share of common sense when it was being given out. But that's the most common thing that happens when the cult followers come onto my page. They try like hell to find something that they can criticize, something that they can grasp onto to criticize me. Say, oh, we got you this time, Jason, you did this wrong. Like the guy the other day who was trying to tell me that my claim that there's no correct sentence structure copyright on the flag is irrelevant because only the creator has a copyright over the creation. And then I said, Russell J. Gould didn't create the 1x1.9 flag. What are you talking about? So I'm right. There is no copyright over it because the creator has long since passed. And of course they disappeared. That's the beauty of logic, folks, and that's the beauty of having your powder dry and just being ready at all times for whatever comes. That's why I do live streams. And by the way, I will end this video with some good news for some. I'm going to try and do one live stream every week because YouTube says that I can increase channel growth and everything by 125% if I do weekly live streams. 125%. Now, I'm not sure how you can get more of a percentage than 100. I don't know how you can go over 100 like that. But YouTube says so it is YouTube's platform, so they can say what they want, I suppose. It is their platform. So I'm going to try and do that. So maybe you and I will be seeing a little bit more of each other than we have lately. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all out there. Your subscriptions, your memberships, your thumbs up, even your thumbs down, your sharing, everything. I appreciate all that. In que sera, sera.